Well, I think there's really two issues at stake here. One is getting justice for the survivors themselves, and this goes far beyond just the individual acts of injustice and violation that happened to these women. There are potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of victims and survivors out there. This is a vast network of sex trafficking that went on for decades without accountability, with a massive government cover-up that is currently undergoing a further cover-up by the Speaker of the House and by the President himself. So you have a twofold issue here.
What's the cover-up by the Speaker? Not releasing the documents, or are you saying something else beyond that?
Well, it's very clear that the White House does not want the full unredacted record released to the public. We, as Democrats, subpoenaed the full unredacted records of the Epstein files from the Department of Justice, and they released 33,000 pages of previously released documents to us in a document dump that they put online yesterday. However, this does not include FBI files, CIA investigations. It doesn't include bank records. It doesn't include the names of individuals who were investigated as part of the FBI's investigation into the sex trafficking rings. It doesn't name the names of perpetrators. So it's clear that they are continuing to shield powerful people. And I'll just say this, it's very clear it goes all the way to the top. And the Speaker is using the House rules to try to keep it isolated in Comer's committee rather than using the full force of Congress to investigate this.
So on that point, the organizers of today's meeting, as you know, said they're about 12 congresspersons shy of forcing this, of overriding basically the leadership, which you can do when you have a big enough vote. Do you think they'll get there?
No, we're 2 members of Congress short.
2?
Right
okay,
now,
well, earlier today, I guess it was a larger number.
Yeah, we only need 2 more Republicans to join in signing a discharge petition to get the full disclosure resolution onto the House floor for a full vote.
Okay.
And the White House is so opposed to this effort that they actually released a statement to the press today that any Republican who signed on to that discharge petition would be considered conducting a hostile act against the president. So the president of the United States is actually threatening his own members of Congress if they sign on to a petition to release the files.
Which also, I mean, to your point, would seem to give away the lie that the White House wants the information out. They made a big point, for example, of releasing the video that's not really the right video, but a video of the night of Epstein's death in prison, and saying they wanted the grand jury materials released. They went to court on that. So you're saying if they're now pushing against the release of all the other documents through Congress, then those other measures were what? For show?
Listen, we already know that there is validated reporting out there that Pam Bondi briefed the president months ago and told him that his name appears multiple times in these files.
Yeah.
We know who's in these files.
Well, let me put you on that. In fairness, that reporting says that his name exists in the files. It doesn't, from the reporting that I've read, tell us in what manner, whether that revolved around alleged criminal conduct or socializing. If it only matches what's already been reported, we have photos of them at the wedding and other places. If that's the nature of the reference, then that, you'd have to concede, isn't a reason to hide it or isn't terrible. I mean, we know they were at public events together.
If the president has nothing to hide, release the files. It's really, truly that simple. Sunlight is the greatest antiseptic. If the president of the United States believes that he is exonerated by what is actually in those files, release the files.
I'm curious, in your conversations yesterday, whether you heard anything about the long history of the way these different victims have been mistreated. We have Courtney Wild is one of the victims who spoke specifically about something that the Miami Herald and other outlets have covered extensively, which is how they were cut out of the exact legal maneuvering and deals that they should have been informed of. Take a listen.
I had to sue the United States just to learn that my abuser was given immunity. We had to win the 11th Circuit Court appeals to force the government to turn over thousands of pages of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and the government. Those emails provided the proof that the government worked very hard with Jeffrey Epstein to violate our rights.
Did that come up in your meetings? How do you fix that? And what does that reveal about what were at the time Republican Republican-appointed prosecutors apparently worrying more about secrecy and immunizing accused sex traffickers than dealing with the many victims and a lot of credible evidence of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that there is a vast miscarriage of justice and cover-up that's been going on for decades. But I just want to share one story that got shared by the victims yesterday, which is that during the time after Jeffrey Epstein was sentenced and under work release with an ankle bracelet on, he was still victimizing and raping young women who were brought to a place of business where he was on work release. That cannot happen without the collusion of a vast network of individuals, not only people who worked for him, but the people who were supposed to be supervising him under the justice system. Those stories have never been heard publicly before, and it's clear because the FBI investigated this that the files regarding that matter have not been released to the public. So there is a lot of information and other stories that have never even been investigated. There are likely hundreds of survivors out there who still haven't even come forward and told their stories yet.